Okay, I'm going to make a move here to move item number 13 up so that we can get that done with people back on the road in case there's an emergency. I'll turn it over to the sheriff.
Thank you. Some of these are very long overdue, and I want to apologize to the staff because we always have recognition for people that get promoted throughout the sheriff's office in each division. And we, during the COVID, couldn't have some of these promotional ceremonies, so I figured what better opportunity than to have it here in front of the committee to recognize these people and also recognize some heroic acts that some of the deputies in Comm Center has done throughout the year. So I've got several, and I'm going to first call up Kate Snow. You're the first one. I told you I'm going to have you uno numo. So Kate, this is to certify that I have reposed special trust and confidence in the dedication, valor, and fidelity of professional excellence in Kate Snow. In the view of these qualities and her demonstrated potential for increased responsibilities, she has been promoted to lead law enforcement record specialist. She has been taking this role for quite some time, but this is just the formal ceremony. Okay, the next, let's have our comm supervisors. Come on up, all three of you.
All three of us?
Where's our fourth?
There's only two, dude. Portage is over there.
I thought there was three.
Oh, right there.
There she is. I saw her, that's why I saw her. Come on up here.
Bring the baby this way. What's still an other thing? A baby. Penny, bring the baby this way.
Okay, we have four cop supervisors. One is on a trip, and she said she was not going to break her trip to be here, and I told her, well, that's unacceptable, but we're still going to go ahead with this. Stephanie Locke, Jody Soit, Penny Oliver, and Heather Holden here are our four supervisors for the Comm Center. Penny has been our supervisor for how long?
Well, 34 years dispatching, 10 supervising, 24 at the sheriff's office.
So there's never been a formal ceremony for Penny either, so I told her I was going to embarrass her, and she was very, very reluctant to come stand up here, but I told her if she didn't stand up here, I'd embarrass her more. So I still figure I'm going to embarrass her. But all these people are from the county board that you graciously accepted. Our county supervisors decided that it's very important to have the 24-hour supervision in the Comm Center. So we now have our four supervisors intact and running in the Comm Center. So with that, each person, I'm going to read these, and they will have their own name on them, of course, but it says the same. This is to certify that I have reposed special trust and confidence in the dedication, valor, fidelity, and professional excellence. It's Stephanie, Heather, Jody, and Penny. Well, I just wanted to make sure. In the view of these qualities and demonstrated potential for increased responsibilities, you are therefore promoted to the communication supervisor. So, Stephanie, here's yours. We'll have you all hold these, and then we're going to get a picture quick. You're not Jody. I'll hold Jody's.
Okay.
That will be perfect for her. Here you go, Pat. Make sure you don't have anything mixed up here. And we're going to get a quick picture. Come, Jody.
Hi, Jody.
Thank you. Congratulations. Next, hey, you come over right here.
Sit up in front and let everybody know I'm late.
No, you're early because of the rules. Oh, let's see here. Let's bring up actually, before I do any more awards, I'm also going to introduce our newest deputy, Teddy Ashbeck, if you want to stand up. Ted was sworn in this last week on Monday. He is one of our newest deputy. He actually had relation on the sheriff's office. His grandpa was Bob Check. His father is in the Wood County Sheriff's Office, so he has a long tradition in law enforcement. We look forward to a long career with us and welcome you to the Sheriff's Office. Okay, here you go. Okay, Beth. And let's see, Beth, Nikki, and Gina. Beth, you were the only one here?
It's me.
Okay, so this is for the Comm Center, the people that worked in the Comm Center. We've got 3 awards that go out to the individuals that worked in there, and I'm going to read the situation that occurred. On December 20th, 2022, at approximately 1:48 a.m., the Portage County Sheriff's Office Communications Center received a report of a stabbing at a residence on Minnesota Ave in the city of Stevens Point. A mother called to report that she and her 7-year-old daughter were stabbed repeatedly by a assailant who fled the immediate scene. Beth and other communication technicians calmly dispatched the proper resources and kept those resources updated throughout the response. Communication technicians also kept the caller calm while obtaining and providing information critical to everyone's safety. Emergency responders were able to clear the residence, safely evacuate the victims to emergency medical personnel, and arrest the suspect in a short period of time. The professional and decisive actions by the Portage County Office communication technicians under extreme circumstances greatly contributed to a positive outcome and justice for 2 valued members of our community. Their actions reflect the highest of credit upon themselves, the Communications Center, and the entire Portage County Sheriff's Office. This is a meritorious conduct award for Beth, for Nikki Lucas, and for Gina Fenolio. So congratulations. Perfect. I got my glasses on too.
I might right there.
Let's see here, who do we have for deputies? Austin Anderson, Luke, come on up here, Doris. Andrew Haldeman, he is not here, and Colin Hawkins. So we had 4 deputies in regards to this, but Luke is here, so Luke can stand up here and be embarrassed for all 4. And Luke is one of our newer deputies, doing a great job. So this is similar in the incident, but I'm going to read this situation for, these are all life-saving awards for the deputies that were on scene that day. On December 20th, 2022, at approximately 1:48, the Portage County Sheriff's Communications Center received a report of a stabbing at a residence on Minnesota Ave in the city of Stevens Point. A mother called to report that she and her 7-year-old daughter were stabbed repeatedly by an assailant who fled the immediate scene. Portage County deputies responded after assistance was requested. Despite a horrific situation, Deputy Gorst and other deputies cleared the residence, safely evacuated the critically injured victims to emergency medical personnel, and took the suspect into custody, all in a short period of time. The selfless, decisive, and courageous actions by Deputy Gorst and all 3 deputies and the other deputies under extreme circumstances greatly contributed to a positive outcome and justice for 2 valued members of our community. Their actions reflect the highest of credit upon themselves, the operations divisions, and the entire Portage County Sheriff's Office. So congratulations. And then we have another award, and this is for Deputy Austin Anderson. He is not here, he's at school and training. He got 2, this is another one. This is a meritorious conduct award for Austin, and I will read this situation. On November 27, 2022, at approximately 12:27 a.m., the Portage County Sheriff's Office Communications Center received a report of a shooting at a residence on Yellow Brick Road in the town of Amherst. The caller reported that a male victim had been shot in the head by another male inside the residence. Deputy Anderson was in the vicinity and took a tactical position until additional resources could arrive. The caller then stated that the suspect was possibly leaving the scene. Deputy Anderson courageously and without hesitation confronted the male suspect in the driveway and tactfully took him into custody without further incident. The brave, professional, and decisive actions by Deputy Anderson under extreme circumstances prevented a homicide suspect from fleeing into the community and greatly assisted the investigation. His actions reflect the highest of credit upon himself, the Operations Division, and the entire Portage County Sheriff's Office. So congratulations to Deputy Austin. So again, we will try to do these more in front of our committee so you guys can see some of the actions that go on. But we do try to do the promotions on the day that it occurs. And on those instances, I will try to get the committee to let you know so that you can come in at 8 o'clock in the morning when we do the promotions when somebody does get promoted. So, yes?
a special commendation. I represent the city, and you guys do a wonderful job. There's some limitations within our police department, and you guys take it to the next level, and I really appreciate that. There was one detective, I thought there might be a detective honoring today.
It was last one, you missed it. I did a special for you.
And I had back surgery. But
There was an award for him on the last committee meeting.
And if you could send my appreciation to him.
Yep, I did already. I told him that you were really, and then I knew you were having back surgery, but yeah, Dustin was excited to get it, and again, he deserved it, but you were.
I saw it on the agenda, but I thought I'll give it that month, I'll give it a shot. Thank you all very much.
And again, from the committee as a whole, we appreciate everything that the department does and the efforts that you put forward. So thank you very much.
Thank you guys for showing up.
Okay, we will now move to the actual agenda. Call to order, and Dave did walk in, so we do have our 5 members. Approval of the minutes from the January 18th meeting. So moved.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any corrections, changes, or additions? Hearing none, all in favor with aye? Aye. Motion carries. Vendors list, that it was in the packet. Any questions from the on the sheriff, emergency medical services, or medical examiner? That's the vendors list. That was in the packet. Okay, no questions. We will move on. Sheriff's office activity reports, emergency management.
Yes, sir. So, I know folks here have heard that the person that we were hoping to hire flew in for a visit, spent quite a few hours with us. The sheriff provided an offer to her. I don't know if she's accepted yet.
She has, we did get the tentative offer signed, and she will be a tentative start date of May 1st.
So we have that going on. Next week I will be at the annual emergency management conference down in Madison for a few days. A week and a half ago, we had an Incident Command System 300 training. It's a required training for many people. We actually had 32 people registered, which is twice the normal amount, which really shows the dedication we have in our county for training. It was quite successful. So after the conference, next week, we have the event security planning class coming up. That's primarily for the big events that we have in the county, Century, Celebrate Clover, and the Riverfront Rendezvous, among other items. Interestingly, it was such a short time frame that the course provider said there's no way you're going to be able to have this class go because you're not going to be able to get enough people in time. We actually maxed out the class and we have a waiting list. So that class will be going late next week. So really looking forward to that. And lastly, as far as the hazmat side of the house and emergency management, we have roughly 114 Tier 2 reports coming in. Those are from the facilities that have the chemicals and they have to report. So we're right on target for that. We finished by the end of the week. And then lastly, one other thing, we're having a hazardous materials exercise in March with Monogram Foods, and we're meeting with Plover, Hazmat, and Monogram Us. Facility.
Thank you. Any questions in emergency management? Okay, moving on, emergency medical services.
Good morning. Updates I have for you all of the 2022 EMR grants have been processed and checks should be going out to the groups shortly if they haven't already received them. Our EMS protocols for 2023 have been uploaded to the county website. Starting March 7th through the 8th, we purchased Cradle Point routers for our ambulances, and those will be are scheduled to be installed down in the highway department. That will basically, it's a Wi-Fi inside the ambulance that should help us get information out to the hospitals. And then lastly, February, it is Heart Month, and I don't know if you've all seen, but at Stevens Point Station 1, they have a heart outside. It's lit up. Red is for instances with heart issues. Black is for someone didn't make it. So there's 4 that didn't make it this month so far. And that's all I have for you.
Any questions about Services. Okay, jail activities.
Good morning. Jail reports are in your packet. Does anybody have comments or questions on them? Currently, we have 3 vacancies in the jail. We are working hard to get them filled. Unfortunately, they have been leaving faster than they're coming in. We are close to having one start. The background is finished. The individual's going through their psychological and physical testing, so I'm anticipating a start date within the next 2 weeks. We do have some other strong candidates. It's just a matter of getting the backgrounds done and getting them on board. So things are looking up, even though we do have vacancies. That is all I have for the jail.
Vacancies, retirement, or moving on to other?
Kind of a mixed batch of everything. So retirement and some other people just looking for greener pastures.
Okay. Any other questions of jail activity? Go ahead.
Go ahead. When they leave, do you ask reasons of why they're leaving?
We do. We do conduct a, if I don't get to it, if they want to speak to the sheriff, we definitely reach out and see what they have going on, so.
It's just like a learning, it's like, you know, is it money or?
Some of it is money, that they're getting better jobs out on the outside. One of these vacancies was a retirement of 27 years, so she had done her time and she finished her sentence per se, so.
Yeah, that's understandable, but like the ones that haven't reached that, it's like if a person can, okay, it's why.
Well, one was a termination, so we know why.
There you go. Well, there's that too, yeah.
And it is, it's a burnout job, and that, some of that comes across too, that they're there for a few years, and it's tough to stay on board sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, there's other, even out in the, what do you say, out in the other world, why, there's burnout in that also, and people just say, I'm taking a
Yeah, but we
less
do
stressful job.
exit interviews on all divisions.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think this is statewide, it's happening throughout the state. Maryland County had a news article on just this week about the lack of applicants coming forward.
Yeah, but they just jumped up their wage again, so they were the same, so they jumped it up a little bit more now.
Some of this isn't money.
No,
Some of the people just don't leave just because of money.
right.
Okay, Dave.
Under the electronic monitoring,
Yes.
2 people didn't want you. Can you give us a little clue on what's happening? Is it cost or?
You know, I don't know those 2 specific ones, but there are people, whether they don't have a stable residence, if the crime, if it was a domestic, they don't want to look for another residence because we don't let them stay with the victim of that. Some of it is money, so it's kind of a mixed bag.
So what is the charge?
Same as a Huber fee, it's right around $23 a day, depending if they have an alcohol monitoring system with them or not.
Any additional questions of jail activity? Okay, operations.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll start off with patrol. We had one of our detectives, Tony Gisha, resigned. He went to Division of Criminal Investigation for the Department of Justice, State of Wisconsin, the Wausau office. And Florian Anatsky, one of our deputies, resigned as well. He went to Wapaka County Health and Human Services. You met Teddy Ashbeck, or Theodore Ashbeck, earlier. He started on the 13th of February, and we have another starting on the 27th, which is next Monday. Aaron Tomasoski will be starting. The deputy process is ongoing because we have a couple openings. And that, I think, at the end of March, that process closes. As far as the comm center is concerned, Alec Diamond is about midway through his training, and he is doing well. Riley Potter is in the beginning stages of his training and doing well. We have interviews and backgrounds are ongoing for the comm center. And as far as training is concerned, we have in-service training over the next couple weeks over in the training room. That's why we're here today. Is there any questions?
Questions? Okay, moving on to administrative.
There's quite a few things going on. Number one, I'm fairly excited about something that we're going to be announcing coming up that I'm just finalizing, is that we're going to be joining the Central Wisconsin Narcotics Task Force headed by the FBI. I'm going to dedicate my drug officer to that position, which is then funded partially by the FBI along with the equipment and a vehicle. So we are going to be getting some additional resources out of the Federal Bureau of Investigation for this task force. We are also staying with the Central Wisconsin Task Force also, but we will have office hours up with the task force in Wausau, and it entails about 4 or 5 different agencies. So we have those resources then readily available if something were to go on. And I will tell you that this task force deals with the main players of the drug cartel throughout the United States. So they actually go after the sources where a lot of times we're getting the smaller players here in the Central Wisconsin Drug Task Force. The FBI has the resources to follow up and take out the sources where they come from. So it's very exciting. I'm glad that the FBI thought of us to incorporate us. Marathon County, Lincoln County, Wausau, some of the other agencies surrounding, and then they're trying to expand it to surrounding Marathon County agencies. So that is in the works right now. We expect that to, I know that Supervisor Laddick wanted to give another drug officer, this is a foot in the door to get partial funding. So I'm working every angle to get more funding towards our office to get that accomplished in the future. So, yeah.
Question on that. I thought we already had a drug investigator position.
We do?
We do. And so
Yep.
now, tell us, so what the additional hours will be for another person, or will some of his work?
His work, it's just the drug investigator, the job description does not change. He's still doing drug investigations. It's just that he will be working with the task force of the FBI to follow up those the leads in regards to that he's getting in Portage County. So right now, the Central Wisconsin Task Force utilizes with like 11 different counties around here the drug officers, but they're not state or federal agents. They are just local drug investigators. Now we've tapped into federal resources in regards to assistance. So it makes a big deal in regards to our investigations.
My question may be the same as Dave Laddick said. It sounds like he's a busy person, and needs. How do we go about getting additional?
Well, that's why
What's your thoughts on it?
that's why coming up we are going to be talking about the caseloads, the things like this, to try to justify, and also the additional funding that the FBI is giving us towards this to make it where it's more palatable. Plus, I've been waiting for a COPS grant for applying for that drug officer's position, because that's what we're trying to do to make it so it's, the county isn't footing the 100% bill right away, that we would do it through the COPS grant over a 5-year plan.
But you're looking at a full-time person position, right?
That's what I'm shooting for 24. Yep.
Follows additional funding sources to
Yep.
incorporate into it. Just so we all know what we're prepared for.
Yep.
And I personally am prepared for that.
Yeah. This next month here, I know with going through human resources, I'm looking for support from the committee. Keep an eye on the agenda. Shift differential for the corrections and for the comm center is going to be coming up. There is a price tag for that. I haven't spelled out in regards to how I will be able to pay for that. It will be cost neutral, no budget increase, because we are getting the governor's grant and some other items that I'm able to pay for the difference in the shift differential for my staff for the common corrections. Just realizing that throughout the county they have about 10 different shift differential schedules. Right now my comm center and my corrections get 30 cents an hour, where RNs and highway get $1.50 to $3 an hour. We're shooting for the $1.50 to make it palatable for somebody to come in on night shift, and to fill those shifts. So I'm looking for support from the committee when it comes up to HR. I understand when there's a cost associated, but I have that worked out, so there should be cost neutral on that. March 31st, Rob Johannes, longtime deputy, is retiring, so we wish him well. He put his letter in, so again, March 31st, he is retiring and moving on to greener pastures. He's been with Portage County for 17 years, but came from other agencies prior to that. So, also in the last couple weeks, we've did do promotions due to people movement. Deputy Adam Prince now is Detective Adam Prince. He started in the bureau, was it 2 weeks now, or last week? And then we also promoted Deputy Chris Stanton. He will be starting at a later date, just for the fact that we have training of deputies on the road, so it looks like it'll be about May 15th when he'll go into the Detective Bureau. So we'll have 2 new detectives in there. We look forward to that. It always brings a breath of fresh air in regards to the Detective Bureau with new ideas and the energy. And that is all I have.
Any questions of the sheriff?
So that's a pretty big jump, because we have maybe 4 or 5 detectives now, we'll have 2 additional, is that what you're saying?
No, we had 2 that moved out. We had Detective Dustin Kitzman get promoted to sergeant to road sergeant. So he is now a road sergeant, so that left an opening. And then Tony Gisha went to the DCI, that was the other detective spot. So then we had those 2 openings, and so yeah, we have the 5 detectives plus the drug officer.
So now we got an in with the DCI if we need it.
Well, we got a better in with the FBI.
Okay, any other questions of the administrator? Not medical examiner.
Yes, things are going well. Don't have too much to report about the same numbers as last year so far this year, but otherwise things are going well. I do have a couple of my on-call deputies who want less on-call, so I would be looking for anybody who's interested in being an on-call deputy. Just kind of, one of those word of mouth is usually better than, I haven't even posted it yet. Usually word of mouth is better, but eventually I would need to post it through each other, but just kind of looking at doing that.
I had a deputy ask, is there qualifications that you require? I don't.
Personally, the office, yes, would look for some things. It's not informal, it's not required by anything. If somebody's interested, motivated, could be appropriate.
Okay.
Any questions of the medical examiner? If not, I'd like to have a motion to place all those reports on file, please. So, motion in a second by Stan. All in favor with aye? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Public notice. Members of the public who wish to address the committee on specific agenda items must register the request at this time with such comments subject to reasonable control of the committee chair as set forth in Robert's Rules of Order. The minutes indicate that there is nobody raising their hand at this time, so we'll move on. Correspondence, EMS monthly activity reports. Amherst is here, and I think Joe Genza is online. Any questions on the reports that are on file? Comments? Is the activity picking up all the way through in both? It is. Okay. Again, things are just keep adding to the need for medical services. And just as a question, are we still working to get more first responders?
Always, yes.
Always, yeah. Any other questions? Okay, a motion to place the EMS monthly activity reports on file.
So moved.
Second, okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor with aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Medical director, is the medical director on?
He is not, no.
No, he is not, so we'll move on. Okay, number 13 we did earlier. Discussion only, Portage County Sheriff's Office Annual Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As I stated last year, a little change in how I do this. Usually you get the annual report at the county board and get to see it for the first time. I wanted you to get this well in advance to the county board so that you can email me, send me a voicemail, whatever, things you feel are important that I should bring up in front of the county board as a whole. So I wanted you to be able to have time to review it. This to me is just I'm not going to discuss the annual report today, but it's an opportunity for you to review it and then add some input to me for what you feel are highlights that I should bring up to the county board as a whole.
Any questions or comments on the procedure we're going to follow?
And we are going to be presenting in March the annual report.
Okay. Okay, moving on to medical examiner's annual report.
So I would just say that, obviously, the first report I've prepared, and I would definitely look that, I think it's important to look at data over time, of course, and so going forward, I would include information from previous years. This year, other than the initial box that I put from looking at history for the last 5 years, I didn't include that information here, but I think looking at anything that could be trends is what is important when you're looking at causes of death and anything that could maybe reduce any of these situations. So I guess I would take any questions. That's really
Numbers did increase on a general basis, correct?
They did, and you saw that they kind of also went down over the last couple of years. And I even had looked more than 5 years back, and every year they had been increasing. And so there was a little bit of a dip that I explained that was related to the last 2 years and the amount of deaths related to COVID. So I would say there's been a couple more of those again recently, but for a long time we haven't had any that where COVID has been the cause or contributed to the death. So that impacted the numbers, I feel, from the last 2 years prior to, excuse me, the 3 years prior. So, but they tend to have been trending up every year, so.
I think as a nation, we really experienced a lot of issues that compounded because of COVID, so we're going to be suffering that for quite a while, I think.
Yeah, I would say so too, from the healthcare perspective, absolutely, that there continues to be things that either we don't know yet or things that are contributing, certainly, yeah.
Okay, any other questions?
Just a comment on it. If you baby boomers are aging out.
Don't tell us. Okay. Number 16, discussion possible action, resolution referencing approving a 1-year extension of the animal control service agreement between Portage County and the Humane Society.
Mr. Chair, first of all, I think that there's been a lot of confusion on this. I don't know why we are going through this committee for this extension, by the way, because the county executive is in charge of the contract. We are the administrator, so we were asked to put this, but this is just a 1-year extension so that they can hammer out the details for a longer contract. But the county executive is basically in charge of the contract. We just administer a certain part of it. So that's my 2 cents on this, but it is just a 1-year extension to work on the details for future.
Court counsel will be working with this.
Corporation counsel and the county executive have been working on it. We have just some language changes that are in there.
So I think the thing is, just as a formality, maybe if we just approve that they're working on it and send it up so that there's somebody backing what they're doing.
Well, we have to approve it because the contract had expired, so we are under expired contract. So we just need this extension for 23 so that they can hammer it out to make a new contract for extension into 24 and beyond, and whatever they deem the contract length.
I'd like a motion to approve.
I'll second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
I think that's, it's clear enough then that this, we are approving that officially to go to the county board. So there is a committee that is
Yeah,
behind it.
I didn't know if that would go through executive ops or not. See, it's been kind of confusing because we do the budget summary and we do things like that, but it's really not our contract per se.
But we're approving it just to make sure that we
Got a
the
committee,
I's and cross the T's.
Yep.
Any further comments? If not, all in favor with aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 17, discussion possible action on the facility master plan. We had another meeting last night, had some lengthy discussions. Are there any questions on what was commented last night? I serve as just a member from Space and Properties, but the staff is one that does most of the work. They do the putting stuff together, getting information. As you saw last night, we had our goals, and those goals were put together by that staff, and hopefully what we're trying to do is get a building that meets those goals so that we can all operate efficiently and throughout the county. So some of the comments that were made as far as the 38 or 31 different items that we are looking at as a committee to see that they're all answered. One that strikes me as the most is the sheriff's department servicing this area of the city. The sheriff's department doesn't service this area of the city. The sheriff's department may get a call for mutual aid in this area, but they don't listen to what the calls are in that area, in the city. So the squad cars drive through here, and now the sheriff has gone, and I don't think, Dave, you're aware of this, but the sheriff has made contacts with the Towns Association, the various villages for our officers to stop and do their reports and meet the people down there, rather than coming into the sheriff's office and do that. They come in and get something and they're out. And I think the sheriff, you can comment that, but as far as that, how you instructed the staff.
Yeah, you know, the substations were a big thing that I pushed because of, you know, when we had an accident on the south side here at Stevens Point. I mean, that was a big deal to the residents, is, you know, our officers not running 1033 lights and siren, you know, from here all the time. So we try to have them get their briefing and get out to the assigned areas that they have. And one of our assigned areas is not Stevens Point. I mean, Stevens Point is patrolled by Stevens Point Police and UWSP over there, and we are utilized for mutual aid when they request it. But if you've ever sat in a squad car or in our squad room or in as the sheriff's office, you can hear the radio chatter where we cannot monitor their stations and hear them talking because we have all the chatter on our radio. So unless they call, I mean, you know, like when they call for mutual aid in regards to the stabbing, then we had people that went and assisted, you know, major incidents such as that. But if there's an incident down here and it happens in the city-county building, I mean, Stevens Point Police responds over there. So I think there's a little bit of misconception in regards to that. And so when they were talking about that last night, I tried to clear it up in regards to that, because on nights, weekends, and holidays, you don't have the uniformed officers in there. I mean, during the day you have the administrative and detectives, but the road patrol guys are not in there.
Comment on that. I represent this area, and we've got the halfway house right across, and those guys are always outside, and that's a rough bunch. And there's mere presence. It is gigantic. There wasn't the presence of the sheriff's department, which we operate that house, so it is a county facility, and they're very comfortable with that group. In fact, when I first moved into this area in 1976, that was about the time that they opened the halfway house, and they said those nice boys over there. The older ladies, which are all dead now, I was really surprised at how comfortable they were with that because of the mere presence. And then we've also got the new corrections right across, just another 100 feet to the west of that. And that's a rough bunch also. They're placed there by corrections. And our neighborhood is very welcoming, I guess I'll just say it, because of the presence of the sheriff's department nearby. Now, I know that they're not getting, that the services are not provided by the sheriff's department unless it rises to a level that we just talked about today. But that presence is gigantic. And if there is, they have expressed to me their level of comfort with the sheriff's department here. So obviously, part of their conversation is if it wasn't here, they would feel that it's a much more dangerous situation in this area. I'm just telling you what they're telling me, and we can walk the neighborhood together and see how the talk to people, that's their thought process
But
It's a big deal.
I got a question for you then, Dave. Why don't you bring this back to the residents? Why didn't they have any issues when Stevens Point Police moved out?
They did.
I didn't hear anybody complain about that. I mean, and so, and all I ask from everybody is, we have three legs to this that are doing, I'm not adding anything, I'm listening to what experts say. I'm listening to the people. And last night, what I heard, nobody's listening. They have their minds set. And I think we need to take a step back, everybody, and listen to what experts are saying and not what your personal opinions or personal vested interests are. Because that to me is where things go amok on this. So all I ask from the committee, all I ask from the county board, all I ask from the citizens is listen to what the experts say, listen to the facts that come up, and then make a conscious decision. Because we haven't been able to do that since I've been sheriff, since 2001, because it always comes down to, and we even started this straight last night in regards to already designed stuff. We're not even there, we're concept. We've just we know there's a problem. We have to fix the problem. And if we can't work together, we'll never fix this problem. So.
And on that note, with working together, you know, out in the county, we, throughout the township, try our best to work together. You know, the township and the city of Stevens Point, trying to work together on shared roads or boundary roads, stuff like that. There's not a lot of reciprocation coming back from my perspective to the county. You talk about that accident on the south side. You know, it was brought up for years to have that intersection, the vision triangles, cleared. And you talk about vision triangles to people from the city, they don't know what you're talking about. And you explain it to them, and they're, oh, that's a good idea. Well, yeah, it's a good idea because we utilize it everywhere, but we don't utilize it here in the city. And when you have cars exceeding the speed limit to get to where they need to be in a response time for an emergency, without that intergovernmental cooperation, it's dangerous for everyone. And sometimes it costs lives. And I understand the fact that the perception of being safe and having the office here is a good perception, but that's what it is. It's a perception. And we need to do what's best for the whole entire county and not a 3-block radius of the sheriff's office. So I agree with the sheriff. I mean, we have to have better cooperation between the city and the county. And again, this is just my perspective from what I've seen. We don't have that. We don't have that ability to work together at this point.
And it goes both ways. I'm not saying, I'm not casting stones on anybody because I think the county could do better, the city could do better. I think it all could. But I think it's time that this is the breaking point where we need to say, let's just listen and then make conscious decisions before having decisions made in our minds prior to listening. That's my 2 cents.
This is the county's project. The county is doing the study. Comments have been made that we don't include the city in this. We haven't made a decision where we're going yet. There's too many factors that we are studying to bring in the city because it is our project. The city may be out of the county city building if we have to stay downtown. They may have to look for another place. We don't know what the end project's going to look like. So we have to be very careful and study all the options. And what's going to happen now is, as it stands right now, we're looking at having another committee of the whole where we will discuss some more of these items in more detail that we had from the list. So we'll do that. The following day after the committee of the whole, we would have a space and properties committee meeting, a special space and properties committee to address a location resolution. Hopefully to have that to the county board by the March 21st meeting. These dates have not been selected and unified. I spoke with the contractor last night. So they're aware, they're checking their schedule to see if we can get these dates into our calendar. So as soon as we get those dates, we'll let you know. But it is our project. We are trying to control our project from the standpoint of what's going to be our decision, we don't know. And when that comes about, then we will meet with the city and finalize our discussions. So with that, that's just where we're at and where we're hoping to go. And again, it's all very fluid at this time. Item number 718, discuss possible action regarding special meeting attendance. I have none. Does anybody from the committee have any requests to attend any special meetings? And there are no special reports at this time. So the next meeting date will be Wednesday, March 22nd. Notice it's in the training room, so we know where we're going. It was on the list. I saw it before I got off this morning, walk into the training room. Motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor with aye? Aye. Thank you.
So do give me emails or questions that you guys want for the county board for on the